So, now, your name is Richard Briggs, right? And you are
Sometimes.
born again, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me about your experience with, first of all,
Here we are.
when you first got born again, but make it quick, when you first got born again, and, and then cut straight to when the Lord began to reveal to you some things about the organization that we now know is called church these days. How? Give me some of your experience of what you experienced while you were in the church. But first, start off with when you got born again.
I don't even know what to say.
Okay, skip the born again thing.
Well, people told me that's where you go when you get born again. Church.
No, I mean the real born again experience. I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you actually met the Lord. As opposed to the organization.
One day when I wasn't in the church. I was home praying, and the Lord said to me, "Don't go to church anymore." So I quit church.
And all from this one voice in your head. And you actually believed it?
Yeah, well, it was easy for me to do that because I wasn't doing too good financially, and every time I went to the church, God, I heard God, and when I go to church, I just hear the preacher saying, "Give me your money, and we'll do better."
Wow, that's very profound
and
and very
do too
intriguing.
much that way, so I said, since I heard something, I said, I think I'm gonna stay here and keep seeing if I can hear more.
So, in a sense, what you're saying is the more you went, the less you heard. But the more you stayed home on your knees, the more you heard.
No, I wouldn't say the less I heard. It's just that I never heard anything at all. That's what I'm trying. No, I couldn't say that because I heard some great.
He wasn't there.
I heard some great teaching.
Right.
But
it could have been either the Lord or just somebody Bible rehearsed a routine.
Yes, exactly.
That's interesting, and quite profound. I should say the least. Now, also, now, tell me, when did you first, in the midst of the organization, when did you realize it was just an organization as opposed to how do they say it, God's will?
It's just that I think when I started experiencing God's voice, it was like common sense. I realized that to hear His voice, I had to keep still. And I know the church talked a lot about hearing the Lord, but people were kind of running too much up and down the aisles, and I just wondered, well, how do they hear Him like I'm hearing Him? And they jerked a lot too, in a sense, and I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand it.
That is questionable. That is something to think about. Yeah, you're right about that.
And when I kept still, I started hearing them more.
Well, you kept still. Which brings to mind a beautiful poem. He leads me beside the still waters.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're being led by the Lord besides the still waters, it's like you yourself are being taught how to be still.
Yes.
Like the waters.
Yes. And then I would hear him.
That's fascinating.
One of the greatest words He gives me more than anything is, Richard, listen.
Not a lot of that going on these days. Not a lot of listening going on these days.
No.
A lot of talking, but not much listening.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you that.
In the midst of the organization.
He sent me to a church one time, and that was basically what he said. He always said, listen, and then one time the church was going off, and it was screaming and everything. He said, Richard, listen to that. Listen to that. And they just said, you know what I'm talking about? And I said, exactly, I know. You know.
So,
He didn't say exactly those words, but what he said to me, he said, Richard, they do not hear me. When he said that, they were very emotional, so I knew when he said, Richard, they do not hear me. I knew he was saying in another form. So he was saying, Richard, listen to that.
But he was basically talking about in the circle of OR, organized religion.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I mean, not that anybody else can hear him, because nobody else is hearing him either, outside of organized religion either. But, and it's not that he doesn't exist. He's there. He wants to be heard, but at the same time, you got to be able to tune in other words. And then the way to tune in is to be silent and be still.
Yeah, it's kind of hard when somebody's screaming right next to your ear. You know, it's just so he just that's why he told me, Richard, go home, and then I'll deal with you. I'll send you back. True. I'll send you back when I want you to see things.
You know,
or to hear
people out there, you guys might think that we're making fun of the organization, the OR, the organized religion, but really we're not really making fun. We're not laughing or picking fun at people in general, but basically the spirits that influence them to do the things that they do. You know, just the way the demon spirits laugh at true servants of the Lord. You know, while they're murdering them and whipping them and hanging them on crosses 2,000 years ago, and putting them in electric chairs these days, giving them lethal injections and stuff, as well as imprisonment. Just like the demons are laughing at the servants of God. We're just laughing, you know, at them, you know, because we know that their work is coming to an end very shortly. The spirits, that is to say. Because they are out there, and a lot of people don't realize that there are spirits running these things, you know, Satan himself, you know, running the organization. A lot of people don't believe that because all they see is the flesh of man, right? Huffing and puffing, running up and down the aisle and stuff, right? He hides himself pretty well inside the hearts of people, and the minds of the people, I should say.
Yes, he does.
But, so have you ever been looked at as crazy for believing what you believe and seeing the things that you see?
Yeah, exactly. I was actually told that if I don't yell and carry on a little, that I won't receive what the Lord has for me.
So you're telling me and all the people out there that you've actually been told that if you don't slam a chair in the ground and stomp around like a wooden soldier and throw yourself on the floor and roll down some steps, that you're not being led by the Lord unless you let that happen. The Lord won't do anything for you unless you knock off somebody's wig by accident. Is that what you're saying, in a way?
Not exactly. I didn't say that wasn't true, but that's not exactly what I'm saying. But the main thing that was said to me was basically saying if I start, you know, screaming out and listening,
screaming out in the sanctuary.
Times when the Lord had me actually quiet, His presence was on me and telling me to be quiet. I was actually told by people that if you don't lift your arms, you're not gonna get out of that financial predicament you're in.
So, see, basically, people, what we're saying is, he's not saying that audible praise and worship is not the will of God, because it is. But we're given a comparison between true audible praise and worship, and fictitious mouth service or lip service.
Yours is ready. What time you got? I wrapped it up. What time you